say thank you so much for joining me. I've got so much to ask you. And first of all, I just want to say that I'm so sorry on behalf of all New Zealanders for the way that they are treating our own citizens and people over in Tokelau. It's so wrong what the government have been doing on both sides. But thank you for joining me to talk about it.
Thank you.
Now,
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, I know that the internet is really difficult where you are, and so it might cut in and out, and I just want people to be aware of that as we go into this conversation. But can you start off by telling me when this all started to happen for you, and also exactly where you are out of the 3 atolls?
So first of all, I'd like to thank God for the opportunity to again get our voice out there. And yeah, so in consultation started in June, and then came July, it arrived, and then those who went against the mandates, they were put on house arrest. And so we were put on our tafu, we were put on house arrest from the 26th of July, 2021. But yeah, so we reached out, well, our families overseas. I have to be honest and say that Pastor Danny and Pastor Sarah is who actually started the whole thing, you know, because they got in touch with some of the media folks that they know in New Zealand and that, and that we also know some of them. They've been reaching out to us as well, but we've been declining them throughout that whole, I think for the first 6 to 7 months, we kept declining to tell our story, and we just kept respecting our, you know, our elders' decision to protect the collective, and you know, and we do have due regard for the safety of others, you know. But it's been well over 10 months, and there's been a whole new lot of data and information released about the efficacy of this medicine. And so we really need to speak out now, you know, for our own people's sake as well, because obviously it's not as effective as it initially set out to do, and it's not doing what it's, you know, what it's promising people that it'll do. And so, I mean, the World Health Organization have themselves acknowledged that it does not prevent anybody, you know, from getting COVID. Can I talk to that extent? I'm not.
Yes, you can. I'll cut out any words that I think would make them flag the video and stop it. So you can definitely talk to it. And
Right.
the way you've been saying it is perfect, because you're saying that it's a medicine and things like that. So yeah, and you're 100% right that they've come out saying, especially for all the variants past the original one, it's not as effective, and it can't stop transmission to the degree that they thought it could.
That's right, and the variants are getting weaker and weaker, and you know, and even there's been numerous reports on how that the natural immune system is actually more effective than what this medicine, you know, is trying to do. And so, and we're all for that, because we do acknowledge our traditional ways of healing. I mean, but way before the arrival of Europeans into our beautiful paradise, we've always done things, you know, the traditional way. You know, our ancestors never really had to rely on Western medicine for anything, because we've just had it all here, you know, around us. Yes, the arrival of Europeans also meant that, and this is, you know, with all due respect to our European brothers and sisters, but we do have to go back in history a bit, because the arrival of Europeans meant the introduction of foreign, you know, of novel diseases that we've never heard of. And so that meant too us adapting to new ways of tackling these new diseases and whatnot. But we must also acknowledge that, I mean, the way we still live life today is pretty much you know, based on our traditional way, the fishing and all that, even though we use like, you know, westernized boats, but our methods and techniques of fishing are still pretty much the same. Why couldn't we apply that same line of thought with this very medicine, you know? If we really are to go down that cultural track, you know, because some of our very own people are accusing us of trying to just forego our culture altogether, and it's nothing to do with that. We love our culture and we treasure it, and it's part of who we are. It's part of who we want to on pass to our children, you know, is that legacy that you have to keep on passing to your children and their children, and so forth. But when you recognize that there is, you know, when something comes, you sense some dodginess into it, you can't help but question it, you know, and as any human being would do, you know.
It's interesting when we talk,
and I leave some interpretation and implications there for you to interpret, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard from a lot of people when I initially put up TikTok videos and things talking about what was going on in Tokelau and the other interviews, and the kickback was quite extreme. You know, people were really, I was getting a lot of messages being like, you can't put out this person's email address, even if they work for the government, you can't put it out because they're getting mean messages and it's disrespectful. But to me, I'm thinking, well, what could be more disrespectful than holding citizens hostage in homes for months and months on end and treating them as if they are not human because they've made a private decision for themselves? So that, you know, I really feel for anyone that's been under house arrest, especially for such a significant amount of time. Now, what have been the implications? I know you said that you were recently released from house arrest. There's 3 different atolls in Tokelau, and you have recently been released. However, there's still multiple other families that are still held under house arrest. Even though you've been released, do you still have conditions that they want you to adhere to?
Okay, I just want to clarify something, if that's all right. So on Whakaawho, there's nobody there that's on house restrictions, house arrest whatsoever. None there. In Nukunonu, there is a family. There was a couple of families, but the other has left. And in order to leave, you have to take the medicine for you to be able to travel. And so that family has left, and so leaving only one family, and I think it's about 4 of them. And yeah, so they're still on lockdown. They're still on actual house arrest, and they've been on house arrest for almost a year now, because they came on house arrest a couple of weeks after us, if I'm correct. Yeah, because if we were house arrested on the 26th, they came a week or a couple of weeks after that, and so in August of 2021, and so you know, July is coming up to an end soon. We're really praying that they get released soon as well. So yeah, Nukunonu, there's that family, and so in our tafu, there's a few of us. There's more in our tafu than the other atoll. So our tafu lot, we were released on the 13th of May. And then from the 13th of May till now, there was 2 doses of the medicine that was administered to the kids that were from the ages of 5 to 12. And so a couple had their kids' first dose. Sorry, my kids are just coming in. So a couple had their first dose.
Hi, guys.
A couple had their first Say hi. Say hi, Chantel. Hi, Chantel. All right.
Hi. So cute. So sweet.
Hi. All right.
Hi.
Can you guys excuse Mom now, please?
Oh, that's so cute.
Can you please excuse me?
So when you were on house arrest, were the kids on house arrest as well?
Can you excuse me, please? Yes. So my two older ones, they came on house arrest they joined me on house arrest. Wow. Because I mean, what sort of a mom would I be if I didn't accept that, and I accepted it for them. Sorry, just going back to the point I was trying to make. So in between this time, a couple gave their kids the first dose of the medicine, and then after the first dose, the wife, the woman had a miscarriage. The woman had a miscarriage, and they thought, this is their communication to me. Guys, please. So this is their communication to me. They said that they thought it was a signal, it was a sign that they shouldn't administer the second dose to their kids, because they initially didn't want to give it to their kids, but because of the pressure and all the coercion and the woman is a nurse, she's a registered nurse, and so that really played a huge role in influence and them and their kid and them getting their kids this medicine, even though they didn't want it. They didn't want their kids to have it. So after the first dose, they had the miscarriage, and then they decided then and there that they weren't going to give their children the second dose of the medicine per se. And then from then, because they made that decision, new restrictions were imposed on us. So we're not on house arrest, but we're not fully given the freedom to move around. We can go and collect coconuts, we can go fishing, we can go and feed our pigs, and get resources that are needed for sustenance. But as soon after that's achieved, as soon after that's been done, we have to come back home and stay home. And so those are the new restrictions. We're still not allowed at public places. We're still not allowed at church, the church building,
So are you allowed to go into a shop to buy food?
No. Other relatives that have been vaccinated will go on our behalf. For me, for my family and I, my husband got it. Yeah, he got it under coercion as well, but yeah, our family too has been back and forth with the pressure, because he's wanting me to go back to work and whatnot, and as much as I'd love that, it's not everything to me, because my husband got the medicine, and so he can move around freely. He does everything for us, and sometimes he'll do it for the other families. Yeah, for the other household, there's only one person in the rest of the household that hasn't gotten the medicine, and so he's okay, because the rest of the family members can do it. For the other couple and all the rest of their household, the husband's sister does it for them. Yeah, that's us.
I would say that that's still house arrest. If you're not allowed to go in public places, you're not allowed to go in shops. How has this affected the mental health of you and your family?
I only credit the grace of God, honestly, and our faith has gotten us this far, because I honestly don't like to talk about it, especially on camera. If you think about us as a people, it's not who we are. And if we think about our way of life here and the way, it's affected us in ways that we pray will never be done to our children.
Who's involved in these decisions to lock all these families down? Like, who is in these particular committees or the overseeing ministers? Are there any names that you know of?
Extended family. So like in any given tribe, you have like little sub tribes, and then you have the the body that governs all those tribes, and so I'm trying to illustrate something for your understanding, if you can try and grasp that sort of concept. So like here on our atoll, or any other atolls, you have, you know, little subgroups of families, and so this subgroup, each subgroup of a family can choose who they would like to be their representative in this corporate body, and that corporate body is who makes, you know, decisions. And this is, you know, by law as well. If we consider the rule of law, they are the local body that can, you know, exercise authority in such instances. But this is another conversation for another question, and hopefully, you know, because recently we've been getting into the recent letter that we received from them, as per those restrictions, is dealt a lot with legal issues, you know, and them restricting us from talking to the media as well, because apparently we've been telling untruths, whatnot.
How can you be telling untruths if you're just telling what's physically happened to you?
I'm not sure about that, but, you know, we've done nothing but told the truth as per our situation. Yeah, because when we first went public as well, some of the New Zealand public as well, we saw some of the comments. They could not believe, because we did not believe ourselves. You know, house arrest is someone when they've actually committed an actual crime. You know, and so they tried to pass a health legislation, I'm not sure how to term it, as far as I know, their policies, because they didn't go through the proper method of you know, of when passing something into law, that, you know, that due legal process was not properly followed, if I can try to put it that way. And so those are perhaps grounds as well we can you know, make known, enlighten, and those are grounds that we enlighten the Council of Elders here, the Tapulenga here, because I feel for them as well. As a former public servant, we, you know, as a civil servant too, especially to a council of elder, you have to advise them on the recent advice as per whatever situation is in the world and how it may affect us. You know, they're trying to bring all these, I'm talking about the public servants that serve our council of elders, you know, they're claiming that we breached all these things without realizing, yeah, our house arrest was unlawful as per the eyes of the Tokelau laws.
What was your role in the local council?
Yeah, a few years ago. And then I worked for the government, because the local council is at the local level and then the government is at the national level.
Did anyone from the government reach out to you that you previously used to work with? And did any of them reach out to you when you went into house arrest?
Yeah, they did. They were just, you know, expressing the, you know, just some words of encouragement and telling us to be strong, because we all understand, you know, like I said, our custom plays a big picture in our daily lives. And so I reckon this medicine and the whole narrative that drives this thing really plays on rural cultures, and, you know, cultures such as ours to drive their message.
Back here in New Zealand, the government were really pushing, they were really driving that through the Pacifica and Māori community back here in New Zealand. Now, they've talked, this government in particular, Labour and Greens and the Māori Party, have talked a lot about colonisation and race and how detrimental colonisation has been. That's what they say. I could not see a more clearer example of government overreach and even potentially colonisation than telling families and native families that they are not allowed to go and live their lives and enjoy the land if they don't take a treatment that they don't actually need, because there is none of the virus on the islands.
You've pretty much summed up what plays in our minds every day. You know, it's pretty much like, you know, history repeating itself in a subtle way. As I was talking to the previous interviewer, I was saying it's like, you know, blackbirding and colonization happening all over again to us, but with a modern twist to it.
It's very manipulative, isn't it? And I noticed this when they did the rollout in the early stages, and they were aiming towards the children, and they were feeding the children from communities with a large amount of Pacifica families. They were giving them free KFC and free pies and free Coke, and giving them money. And then to the really well-off Pakeha families and to those areas, they would never do that. They would never bribe children because they know that the families wouldn't allow it. And it felt very manipulative and very racist to me that the government would allow these types of bribes to go on, depending on the cultures.
Yeah.
I just thought you treat everyone the same regardless of race. Yeah, deeply offensive. Yeah, it amazed me that these communities let this happen and churches let this happen, because I mean, I'm obviously not Pacifica, but I was watching this appalled at how the government were treating people. Hey, is there anything you would like people to know back here in New Zealand? Is there anything on your heart that you would like to tell people?
Yeah, thank you, Chantal, for the opportunity. I really just want to get the message out there that, you know, this is really happening to us. We're not lying about it, and we're not trying to get attention. If we were, we would have gone to media. You know, the very first time we were offered an interview, you know, I think it was 3-4 months into our house arrest. We don't want that, and you know, we don't want unnecessary attention on us, but it is something that we have to speak out for, because you know, we have things like monkeypox coming up now, and heaven knows what sort of manipulation is going to be done now to get all sorts of medicines across the South Pacific Ocean to be administered into our bodies, and so if we don't make any noise now, then you know, what's left of our children, what's left of our future. Some of our people still, you know, they really, like, the love is still there. We still, you know, there are on island, there's a lot of people that still, we know that their love is still there, because it's just the way they've always been there, being compassionate people. But because of this medicine, you know, it's like it's just created so many barriers unnecessarily, and so we want to try and break as many of those barriers down. No, we're not going up against our culture or anything. This is, after all, a foreign substance that's coming onto our shore. We have to look at it with foreign lenses, not local lenses. Even if we do look at it with local lenses, hey, our forefathers didn't even rely on those things. So yeah, people of New Zealand, no, we're not trying to get any attention. It's happening to us. It's real, and as joyful as we may appear on camera, that's just us. We are a happy people, but we're not happy about the state of what's been happening to us and our children, especially for our family in Nukunonu. We feel a lot more for them, especially with the recent news that they updated us on. We haven't heard from them for a week now. I think I can say that confidently. The last time I heard from them was about Wednesday, Tuesday of last week. Yeah, I pray that they're okay.
Amazing improvements to health have been made through modern medicine and through Western medicine in terms of babies now being born a lot healthier. There's a lot less complications. There's a lot less disease in general. So it's not a thing against medicine per se, but it's more a thing of informed choice and being allowed a choice.
No,
and that's the issue, is that if it's a human rights, the human rights side
that's
of it,
right.
everyone should be informed and everyone should have a choice. And right now that has been stripped away and people are being pushed into decisions that they're fearful of. And I think that's deeply, deeply wrong.
That's right. Especially like, you know, I am not in any way denying that the importance and significance, the significant role of medicine, and especially modern medicine in the 21st century that's had on human and humankind. I am, however, asking for your understanding in that I simply want bodily autonomy, you know. And I do have due regard for the safety and mental well-being of others. You know, this is reflected in our patience and our respect for their choice for the 10 months that we were in. We respect that because because they've been, you know, so mentally drilled that this medicine prevents COVID. And so we respected that because, oh yeah, we should get this because it actually works. Even though WHO has acknowledged that it doesn't prevent from transmitting it or catching it. You know, and so these information, I am not honestly sure whether a lot of our people here have grasped that or not. And it's also, you know, our duty as a resident and as a citizen, as a relative, to inform them, hey, hello, it's a medicine from overseas. People overseas that got it first before you, no, it doesn't prevent you from catching COVID. Why do you want to get a booster? You know, and I'm sure they're going to wait for the second booster, which will be the 4th dose within a matter of 18 months.
Say thank you so much for joining me, and thank you so much for updating everybody on the situation in Tokelau. I'm definitely going to start pushing hard to try and get every family released in full and back to their normal lives, which they should have been allowed to live from very early on. So we're going to start campaigning for you here. We're really behind all of you, and please, whatever we can do, let me know and I'll get it out there to everybody so we can start supporting you no matter which way it goes.
Thank you very much, Chantal. I follow some of your videos, especially when you did some videos on the protests as well, with your dad.
Yeah, I was up in Wellington for the full 23 days. Yeah.
Thank you for speaking up for the voiceless. God bless you.
Oh, thank you. God bless you too. It's what we're here to do, isn't it? All right. See you soon. Thank you.